This is from Tuesday. If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. That's a powerful, powerful verse. I hope you've memorized it. If not, be a good one to memorize. Then Thursday, we did this one. Jesus said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Very good. We talked about that one. Today, it's a verse that may be the favorite of a lot of youth pastors, and rightly so. It's a really great verse for young people to memorize and meditate on. Do you recognize it? You know what this word is? Trust. Trust in who? The Lord with all your heart. And this is an L. Lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways is a harder word. It means recognize, realize he's there. Sometimes we will appreciate a good guess, but that's not the word. But it really is a good guess. And sometimes when somebody gives a speech or writes a paper or something, they have to do this to the people who help them. Well, that's a good guess too. It really is, but that's not the word. But it really is a good guess. I wouldn't have thought of that as a good guess. But it's you're giving appreciation. You're recognizing what somebody has done or what somebody has said, and you're using that. Uh, it really means just realize whatever you're doing, he's there. So we're recognizing him. The second letter is a C, and the third letter is a K. Acknowledge, yeah, acknowledge him. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall lead, show you the right way to go. Sometimes we call the person who leads a band. Uh, yeah, direct. He shall direct your paths. Very good. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. There's four phrases there, and they're all commands. Well, one is a promise. The last one's a promise. So let's think about it. Trust in the Lord. Now, trust doesn't just mean I know he exists. The devils know he exists. The demons know he exists, but they don't. They don't trust him. Trust him means I want him to be in charge of me. I'm trusting my life to him. I'm trusting my future to him. Trust. Trusting him for my salvation. And just him, not myself, trusting him. And then it says with all your heart. Now, there are a lot of people who say, well, yeah, I'm trusting Jesus, I guess. But they're kind of living their lives as if he weren't there. They got blinders on. They're just living their lives the way they want to live their lives. If they get in trouble, they'll say, help Jesus. but they're not really trusting him with all their heart. It's just kind of half-hearted. No, it needs to be wholehearted trust. And lean not into your own understanding. Now, guys, this is going to be hard for you. You know why it's going to be hard for you? It's because you're living in a culture right now that's telling you to lean on your own understanding. They're going to tell you you're smart. You can figure out what's best for you. You know what's right for you. You know what's wrong for you. You know what you need to do. You know how to make decisions. Just do what you want to do. Do what you think is best for you. That's lousy counsel. Do you know what God compares us to in the Bible? What kind of animal? He says he's a shepherd, which means we are sheep. Do you know how smart sheep are? Not very. They're pretty dumb. Somebody's got to take care of them. Somebody's got to lead them. Somebody's got to feed them. Somebody's got to protect them, or they're going to be in trouble big time. Sheep need a shepherd. Now, here's where gets to be a problem. Your parents and your grandparents and people that love you have probably told you many, many, many times how smart you are. And you are smart in certain ways compared to other people, probably very smart. But guys, compared to what we need to know about life, we're not smart. We need God to lead us. We need God to teach us. If I lean on my own understanding, I'll do a lot of stupid things. I'll make a lot of bad mistakes. I'll have a lot of regrets. I promise I will. So the world is trying to tell you, no, 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 no. You do what's best for you. You know what's right for you. Guys, if you listen to them, you will one day regret it. If you listen to God, you will not regret it. Don't lean on your understanding. He doesn't say lean on it. He says lean not. Don't lean on your understanding. He said, I'm the one that made you, and I know how smart you are, and I know how dumb you are, and I know you need me. That's what God says. You need him. We all need him. Don't think you can live life without him and have a good outcome. Lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, which simply means, okay, Lord, I'm about to eat. Thank you for this good food you provided. Okay, Lord, I'm about to get in the car and drive or ride or whatever. Lord, would you please protect us? Would you send your angels and give them alertness and protect us on the trip? And thank you that you're with us. And Lord, I'm about to take a test. Would you help me to think clearly and remember the things I learned? And, or Lord, there's a test coming up next week. Would you help me to make some time to study this thing and learn it really, really well? Or Lord, my parents are upset with me because I forgot to do something. Would you help me to know how I'm supposed to respond, what the right way is, what's the gracious and loving way? I want you to direct my paths. My sister's being a pain. Lord, would you show me what I'm supposed to do about this? You direct my paths. Help me to handle this right with some wisdom. You know, on and on and on. In all your ways, no matter what. About to play a game, Lord. I thank you that I get to play games, but would you help me to make sure I'm doing the right thing here and letting you be in charge of me and spend the right amount of time? You know, just acknowledge him. Okay. And then he says, I'll direct your path. If you do this, you'll trust me. If you won't trust yourself, if you'll acknowledge me, I'll lead you. You'll be really happy with the outcome. So it's a great, great passage. So it's got 4 phrases. Let's learn it. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. That's the first one. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Second one, lean not into your own understanding. Lean not unto your own understanding. The third one, in all your ways, acknowledge him. In all your ways, acknowledge him. And the fourth one, he shall direct your paths. He shall direct your paths. See if we can do it. What's the first line? Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. Very good. He shall direct your paths. Very good. I'm impressed. Very good, guys. Very good. Very, 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 very good. Memorize it if you haven't already. Now, speaking of memorizing, we're going to try to start that Bible memory club up against this year. I want to encourage you to do it. All you have to do is come to me and quote a verse before class, after class, during break. I mean, during lunch, you know, or after school or before school, whatever. Well, we won't take class time for it, but any other time, you can come quote me a verse. What I want you to do, you don't have to use note cards. You can just use a scratch of paper or something, scrap of paper. But if you quote, like I had a student this morning, quoted Matthew 6:9-13 to me. He wrote it down, and then he counted the words. I need the number of words. Count the words. And he wrote 71 words. That's all I need with the name. And you can do it on a piece of scratch paper. So when you quote it to me, I can see what you're quoting. I can see how many words there are, and I'm going to give you credit for that. At the end of the year, I'll give you a certificate with how many words you quoted in the verses you quoted. Now, I know not everybody's going to participate in this. I would love for everybody to. And you may be sitting there thinking, oh, okay, Mr. Hall, I guess maybe that's okay. That's probably a good idea, but I'm really not into it. I don't think there's a time for me to do that. I've got too many other things. You don't have to take one of these, but I'm going to pass these out. These are just a long list of verses, starting with the shorter ones and building up to longer passages that you might want to memorize sometime this year. You just pick one out. And this already, it tells you how many words are in it too. So if you use this, you don't have to count the words. You can just tell me which one you use. So if you're interested, and I hope you are, but I'm not going to make you take one. I'm not going to penalize you in any way if you don't take it, be mad at you or anything, but I would just encourage you to take one and pray about which verses would be good to memorize and start memorizing some of God's word. Memorization of God's word it's in the scripture. He commands us. You know, some of you have been to Bible school have probably said it in the place of the Bible, hide his words in my heart that I might not sin against God. That's from Psalm 119. But he wants us to hide his word in our heart. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. Get it memorized. So I would encourage you to memorize some of these things. It'll help you on tests. I know you're not taking tests in this course, but you're taking tests in other classes. What happens is, as you start memorizing scripture, your memory muscle gets better. You can memorize other things better too. You can memorize historical facts more quickly. You can memorize foreign languages more quickly. You know, it works your memory muscle. So I would encourage you to do it for that purpose too. Okay, you two girls want one? Okay, there's one. There's one for both of you. Oh, you already have one. I'm sorry. All right, and the rest of you just take one if you want one. Pass them on back, and give me the ones that are left over. There'll be plenty left over. Okay. So now I didn't. Let's see. Everybody's here today, right? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 3, 6, 3, 6, 7, 8, 3, 6, 7, 8, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Okay. Thank you. What? Okay. Thank you very much. Um, here it is. I told you you could use calculators in here. Most of the time, you won't need it. I don't care what kind of calculator you have. If you're gonna buy one specifically for the ACT, I would encourage you to get a TI-84. But they're pretty expensive. So if you're not going to be somebody that takes math in the future, if you're going to be an engineering student or something like that, or take a medical course or something like that in college, if you're going to take things that require some math, including science, you probably or business or something like that, you might want to have a nice calculator. Otherwise, you might want to see if you can borrow one when you take the ACT. But it'd be nice if you know how to use it, and it's okay to get just a simple calculator. That's all right to help you add and subtract and stuff like that. But most of the time, it's not that complicated on the ACT anyway. Some students feel like if they got a calculator, I know I'm going to do well. I know I'm going to do well because I got a calculator. That's not going to make you smart. You got to know how to use that calculator. You got to know what you're doing with it. Very common to leave out parentheses. You got to be careful with that. Um, the calculator has a different key for a negative number than a minus number. You got to know the difference. And ACT loves to use negative numbers, and you usually will want to put those in parentheses and fractions. The newer calculators will make it look like a fraction, so you don't need a parenthesis if you want to do that. But if otherwise, you got a parenthesis around everything. Complicated numerators, denominators, make sure you got parentheses around things that belong together. Sometimes it'll start something with a parenthesis, and you got to put the final parenthesis on some calculators, and that would include radicals, logs, and trig functions. So, talk more about those as we go along. Um, I'm just curious, how many of you have had Algebra 1 in here? You have already had Algebra 1. Is that everybody? You haven't had it? You haven't had it? What math have you had? Pre-algebra? Yeah. Have you had geometry? You hadn't had geometry either, have you? What grade are you in? Yeah, you're pretty young to be an ACT prep, aren't you? Yeah. What grade are the rest of you in? I think I asked this the other day. How many of you seniors are in here? We had a couple of seniors, didn't we? Yeah. How many juniors and one seventh grader? Yeah. I don't mind you being in here, but a lot of this stuff is going to be kind of hard for you. You know what I mean? Because you don't have any math background, and it's going to be hard for them too. So I don't mind you staying. I really don't. But you might want to let's talk about it after class a little bit and see if this is really what you want to do. I don't know if you don't have any other things to do. You can take it now and maybe sit in on it when you get closer to the ACT exam. But you usually take it when you're a junior, so you got a few years. Does that make sense? But I'm happy you're here. Uh, I just wanted to be what's best for you. How many of you already had geometry? Let me see those hands. Geometry, 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 geometry. All right. Algebra 2? Anybody had Algebra 2? You're taking it? Okay. You're taking it. Okay. All right. Are you, I know we've had for a long time now, we've had, uh, Charlie doing the Khan Academy stuff in math. How many of you, your math, Algebra 1, geometry, it's been Khan Academy? Has it been Khan Academy? Is that most of you? How many of you have taken it at home just on your own? Did you use Khan anyway? No, you have somebody to teach you? Okay. Algebra 1 and geometry both? Okay. So you have a parent that's pretty good at it, or somebody else? Okay. So you just kind of, yeah. Okay. 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 Um, how many in here have had a Khan Academy math course of some kind? Raise your hands again. All of you have? You haven't. You two haven't back there? You haven't had Khan Academy? Everybody else has. Okay. Okay. Um, okay. I'm just curious about that. I don't want to take time with it right now, though. All right. Now, guys, I want you to have paper and pencil out when you come in here so that when we see something like this, now some of you say, well, I can do that on my calculator. Fine. Calculator's fine. But I want you to have paper and pencil because sometimes you'll need to plug things in uh, with paper and pencil a little bit. And sometimes a paper and pencil can actually be quicker than a calculator, depending on what you have to put into the calculator. So try that. Get your pencil and paper out, and everybody at least try and see what kind of answer you get. Let me give you a minute or two to think about it. Try it. You get an answer. Uh, again, you may not be confident of your answers. This is going to be true the whole course. You may not be confident of your answers, but when you got some kind of an answer that you would put if you were taking the ACT, just get my attention, wave at me or nod your head or something. Let me see your hand. You got an answer? Anybody else got an answer yet? I see one. Okay, two, three. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and see if you can't get an answer. I'll give you a little more time. Anybody still working on it? Need a little more time? Okay, let me give you a little more time. Have I done now? Anybody need more time? All right, let's talk about this problem for a little bit. First of all, if you don't have a calculator, what are you probably going to have to do? How are you going to solve it? Get a calculator. Yeah, yeah. If you got a calculator, it's pretty handy. What if you didn't have a calculator? How do you solve something when they give you an algebraic expression and then a value for x over here? What do you do? What's the word I'm looking for? How do you do that problem? If I said 3x plus y plus 8, and I said I want to know what that is, you'd have to say, well, I got to know what x and y are, right? I said, well, how about if x is 2 and y is 3? Can you tell me what it is now? Could you? Yeah. How would you do it? What would you have to do? I'm asking a simple question. I'm just not a complicated question. I don't ask too many trick questions, guys. I really don't. What? Just plug in the numbers, right? Just plug them in. The mathematicians will say substitute, but that's what it means. Plug that two, where they see an x, you put a 2. So it's 3 times 2. Where you see a y, you put a 3 plus 8. And that's 6 plus 3 plus 8. That's 9 and 8, 17. Right? Yeah, that's that one. This one, though, x is negative 3. So there's, and believe me, the ACT likes to use negative numbers. They want to test your ability to get it right when you got a negative number. So x squared means 3 times negative 3 squared. You with me there? You need a parenthesis there. Let me talk about that before I go any further. Negative 3 squared, negative 3 squared, negative 3 squared. Do you know the difference in those things? Do you know what this equals down here? Negative 3 squared with a parenthesis around the negative 3? 9. It's positive 9. You know what this is up here? No, that's a common mistake. It's negative 9. You know what this is? Only the 3 gets squared. The minus is still there, so it's still negative 9. The top two are negative 9. These two mean the same thing. Now, that can be very confusing when you're working with negative numbers because your brain wants to say that negative sign goes with a 3, so the whole thing ought to be squared. But in mathematics, you only square what comes immediately before that exponent, and it's only a 3. If you want the negative 3 to be squared, you have to write it like that. And that's why I put it, for instance, here, because x is negative 3. It's not 3, it's negative 3. So the negative 3 is what gets squared. So I put it in parentheses. Minus 4 times negative 3 plus 6. You know what negative 3 squared is? 9. We know what 3 times 9 is? 27. Is this next number going to be plus or minus? Negative 4 times negative 3? Yeah, it's positive 12, though. See, this is like a negative 4. This is the same as 3 times negative 3 squared plus negative 4 times negative 3 plus positive 6. When you see a minus sign, it's the same as adding the negative. This is like negative 4 times negative 3 added to this. And negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. Both out two negatives. Plus 6. So the answer is 45. Did anybody get 45 before I did? Good. Anybody else get it? Nobody else got it? Okay. Guys, you really do need to pay a lot of attention to what I'm doing here. and make sure you learn things. I don't know if that means you've learned it and forgotten it, which is very possible, or I don't know if it means you had some shortcuts to get around learning it in the first place and you just didn't learn it. I don't know. But if you're going to do well on the ACT, you got to learn stuff like this. You just have to. So now, let me share one more thing with you. I will. I want you to learn things, and there'll be times when you really need it. But I also, are you listening? I also want to give you shortcuts if there are shortcuts. I'm interested in helping you get the best score you can get. If you have a calculator that has an STO, I think it has a little arrow on it, key. You seen that on your calculator? Has anybody got a T84? Does it have, down in the lower left hand corner? Do you see a STO? Does it have an arrow or just a STO? Arrow, okay, STO. It looks like that. This key can really be valuable to you. Let me show you how you work it. What you do is in a problem like this, the value I'm going to store is -3. I'm going to store it in an X. So if you punch -3 in your calculator and then hit the store key, that's that STO short for store it, and then hit the variable key. You know, it's got the X and the theta and all that stuff up there in the variable key. What that's telling the calculator is from now on, every time it sees an X, it's going to think it's a -3. You stored a -3 where the X is. So every time it sees an X, it thinks it's -3. Then all you have to do is put this in your calculator just exactly like it is. 3x squared minus 4x plus 6. And your calculator will figure out the answer. It'll tell you it's 45. Exponent? You can. Yes, you can use the x2. That's right. That's when it's squared, which is the most common. If you wanted to use a higher exponent, you would hit the variable key, like the x key, and then you see that little key that looks like a rooftop. And then, for example, a 4, that would be x to the 4th power if you wanted to do that. It'll put it in that way. There's also a math key, and there's a way to put extra higher powers in there. If you put it in the math key, you'll see some options for putting powers and roots in. Okay. So, yeah, but for the square, this is pretty handy. Okay, good question. Anything else you want to talk about that problem? Anything you want to ask related to that problem? Or anything in your mind? Okay. But I had the slide. The store number is X. Enter the number, hits. Oh, there it is right there. Shoot, I should have remembered this slide and I wouldn't have had to draw all that stuff. Hit the variable key and then hit enter. And the expression is X with a variable. Hit enter. So the variable key is right here. So you hit the number. In this case, it would be -3. Remember, there's a difference in the minus sign and the negative sign. This is the negative sign. -3, store X. -3, store X. And then I would just put, I don't remember the expression now, 3x squared or 3x rooftop 2, 3x squared. Just hold expression in. It'll show it. You can see it as you put it in. So that's a nice feature of the calculators. You have that kind of problem. Word problems. Read the entire problem carefully. Please don't skip word problems. Don't do it because sometimes they're very easy. Read it. If you read it and you're still thoroughly confused, okay, mark a circle around it and go on. Or guess letter of the day. If you're sure it's the kind of stuff you won't come back to, guess your letter of the day and go on. But you might read it and say, okay, I think I can figure this out if I had enough time, but I'm not going to spend much time on it right now. Then circle it. But sometimes you'll read it and say, oh, it's easy, and you'll just do it. Read it. The information may be at the middle or the end. Don't assume anything. Sometimes you just got to read the whole thing. Underline what the problem asks you to find, or circle it, or something. You can write in that test booklet. So make sure you're looking for the right thing. You might decide I'm going to look for this, but the problem says no. You need to look for this. This is what you're supposed to find. Look at the answers. Use the process of elimination, and sometimes you can break it up into parts. Sometimes a word problem has 2 or 3 parts to it. Be alert for words or phrases that may try to trick you, especially the word not or something like that. You know, they're trying to get you to get the other side. All right, here's a word problem. And some of you look at that and you say, oh, I don't even want to think about it. I know. But I want you to think about it anyway. So take some time. I'm not going to rush you. Take some time. See if you can figure that one out. And here, it's okay to take your time. I know you're going to have to pace yourself when you take the real thing. But again, when you get an answer, whether you feel confident about it or not, let me know that you're finished with it. You got an answer? Anybody got an answer yet? You got an answer? Okay. Gabriel, are you in my seventh grade math class? The early one or the late one? Have you been in the second period? You were in here this morning, second period? Or already? Huh? You were in here? What class were you in right before this? In my class? History. So after this one, do you come into my class? Have you got your schedule with you? Let me see it just a minute. Thank you. Wait a minute, I'm gonna talk to you outside the second. Listen, I don't mind you staying in this class, but you're not signed up. This is ACT readiness. You're signed up my seventh grade math, so you'll be in here next period instead of this period. You got your periods mixed up. You don't have a class this period. So normally what you would do is go to science first period. You've been going to science, and then history. You've been going to history, And then you got a break, which means you can go to the family room and study or whatever you want to do. You don't have to be in a class. And then you come to my math class. You come in here next period after this period's over. You see how that works? And then you got lunch. So that's confusing because you don't have class this period. So would you rather just take a break then instead of, yeah, just go ahead and get your stuff then and you can go to the family room. Okay. So I'll just see you next period, okay? Who's got an answer? You got an answer? Good. You got an answer? Good. Y'all got answers? Not yet? Okay, I know that's fine. You don't have to have a sure answer, as long as you got a, you think you know what you. If it's you kind of pretend it's the real ACT. On the real ACT, you'll have lots of answers you won't be confident about, but you think, well, I think this is the best choice. So see you next period, Gabriel. Yeah, bless his heart. Yeah, it was confusing because he had a free period. It's the only free period he's got this period, and he didn't. He just was assuming he went to his next class, which he knew was in here, but it should be next period, not this period. So he was just. And I thought, seventh grade, I can't believe they put in an ACT. hmm So anyway, he just was reading his schedule wrong. What's that? Next period, seventh grade math. So that works for him, but a lot better. Makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Yeah. I said, you're welcome to stay if you want to, but I said, you don't have to stay. You don't have a class this period. You can just go to the family room. He said, oh, okay. So he took that opportunity. Okay. Who's still working on this one? You got several? Okay, go ahead and keep working. By the way, guys, um, when I'm teaching the whole class, I want you to pay attention to me. When I'm doing the verse or the memory verse at the beginning, of praying, I want you to be engaged and pay attention to me. But when something like this, where I'm saying, okay, let's work on it, and some people are still working, you've already finished. I don't care what you're doing. If you want to work on something else, that's fine. Um, Occasionally, I don't really, I don't really like for you to do this, but if you look at a problem, you say, I don't have a clue how to start that, then I understand you just kind of find something to do until I explain it to the class. And that happens too. But I like for you to at least mess with it a little bit. You know what I mean? Say, what if I did this? Trying to try some things and see if you can get anywhere with it. See if there might be more than one way to do it. Who's still working on it at this point? Everybody got something? Okay. You want to tell me what you got? Anybody want to tell me what answer you got? Three? You got three? Who else got three? Anybody else get three? Okay. No, that's good. That's right. Three is correct. Yep. So I'm sorry for those who didn't get this. Don't be down on yourself if you don't get problems right. That's why you're here. You're here to learn how to do some of these things. So it's all right. Now, let me tell you what a common mistake I would make. I'm sorry. Let me wait on all of you just a second. Go ahead. No, I know. I'm going to wait. Sit there. Oh, did you? Yeah. Don't know why you messed up. Okay, so you kind of had a problem when you had to get 5, 6, or 7. Yeah, you had a little problem. Yeah. Well, you made a mistake before that because you shouldn't have been taking 5, 6, or 6. We'll look at it in a minute. Yeah, I'll be glad if you want to talk to me what you did. You'll see what you did wrong as I work through it, I believe. But if you don't, I'll be glad to help you see it. Okay, you all ready to be with me now, or do you still need it? Everybody, are y'all ready back there? I really am willing for you to keep talking if you need to help each other. And Telco, I used to have bigger classes, and when students would start talking among themselves, if I wanted to hold a class attention, I would do kind of what I did just then. I would just wait. I would just look at them, and then they'd finally look at me, and sometimes I'd say, "Am I interrupting you?" But sometimes, no, I did that usually when I was teaching. I started talking, but then that was kind of ugly, sarcastic. But anyway, I would seriously say if you get something you talk about, I'm willing to wait. But most of the time, they felt like what they were talking about was not that important. But you were working on a problem, and I think that was good stuff. All right, now let me tell you the common mistake here that I would make. I would tend to do this, and it violates something I said on the last screen, or one of the last screens. I would look at this and say each member in a club had to choose an activity for a day of volunteer work. A third of the members chose to pick up trash, and my brain wants to start working on it right there. And I was like, oh, a third of the members. Okay, that's a third of M. A fourth of the remaining members. Okay, wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. The remaining members would be M minus a third of M, and I'm going to take a fourth of that. Those paint fences. 5/6 of the remaining members. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So I got to subtract this minus 5/6, and it's getting to be really messy, you see. And I finally get down here. It had 36 members. Oh no! I was going to ask me to find that number, but it gave me that number. So I would have myself a messy algebraic expression trying to figure out what M is, and they're telling me what M is. So that's dumb, I tend to do that sort of thing. I would jump right into it and think, surely they're going to ask me how many members. That's why you need to read the whole thing through. And when you read the whole thing through, you think, well, it would have been nice if they'd told me that at the beginning, but they didn't. It's at the end. The club has 36 members. Well, a third of those members picked up trash. You know what a third of 36 is? Third, 12. Yeah, two-thirds would be 24. Yeah, 12. Okay, and then subtract. Now, a third of 36, that means 12 of them, 12 of them picked up trash. A fourth of the remaining members, how many remaining? Well, 36 minus 12, that would be 24, right? All right. A fourth of those, you know what a fourth of 24 is? 6. 6 of them chose to paint fences. 5/6 of the remaining members, okay, I'm going to have to subtract that. 18. And 5/6 of them times 18. Now you have to know how to multiply by fractions, but 6 goes to 18 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. Those are clean school buses, 15 of them. All the remaining members, well, how many remaining? 3. So congratulations to those of you who figured that one out. That's good. Now, do any of you want to ask about it or talk about it? Did you figure out where you went wrong? Is that going? Okay. Did you make a little careless mistake in there somewhere? Yeah, it's easy to do, especially with the fractions. Okay. Anybody else? Everybody good? Okay. Yes. Fractions for many people are demonic. They hate fractions, but they're not too bad once you get the hang of it. Oh, I said instead of taking the remaining, you took it out of the, yeah, I understand. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see why it'd be tempting to do that. Do the same thing. Yeah, it'd be easy to do. Yeah. You forgot to subtract them. Yeah. Yeah, when it says remaining members, you got to think, whoa a minute, I don't take this. They're not 36 now. They're fewer. Which on time management, you have 60 minutes. You got to average one question per minute. Speed counts. Accuracy is more important than speed, though. Use your personal order of difficulty to quickly go through the test and work the easy problems. Many will take only a few seconds. Leave the harder ones till later or don't do them at all. I've said this kind of stuff over and over. Fill in the blanks during the last few seconds of the test. It may be best to choose a letter of the day. I've already talked about all this, but don't leave anything blank. It's just you're guaranteed to miss if you leave it blank. You got at least a chance of getting some of them right if you fill it in. Better fill in something than nothing. About half the problems get the national average. All right. Now, I'm going to help a lot of you who hate algebra with the next presentation. Um, Sometimes, guys, this is going to be really valuable for those of you who are bad at algebra. You're going to, this doesn't always work. You need to learn as much algebra as you can, but sometimes it can be really handy. Now, here's an example problem. You go into a candy store with Z dollars and buy X pieces of candy, which cost Y cents each. How much money do you have left? Now, they're going to want that in an algebraic expression. And so you think, okay, Z dollars is how much you start with. You buy X pieces of candy, which cost Y cents each. Well, if it costs Y cents each, X pieces would cost X times Y. And how much money you have left over, you're just going to subtract that. But that's incorrect. Can you see off the top of your head why it's wrong? You must see why it's wrong. No, you're going to have to multiply. And if you buy X pieces of candy for Y cents each to find out how much total you bought, you have to multiply X times Y. What? No, you're right. There's not. But all I'm going to do is write an expression here. So it doesn't have to have an equal. You mean XZ? No, you wouldn't multiply X number of pieces times the total number of amount of money you had when you came in. I mean, this really does look logically correct. I'm telling you, there's something wrong. And this kind of is a trick question. Can you see what's wrong? It's not really a trick question, but it's a kind of trick question you might run into on ACT. You might see it yet? What? No, no. I'm glad you're guessing, though. I like it when you participate. There's something else that makes this a problem. It may be so simple that yes, yes. Z is in dollars and X is in, I'm sorry, Y is in cents. That's a problem, you see. You see, now, the reason I put that up, see, most of you had trouble seeing that. I would have to. But let me tell you what you could do on a real test. You could say, well, I don't think well in terms of variables, so I'm going to make up something. I'm going to suppose I've got $3 and I buy 4 pieces of candy that cost 25 cents each. You wouldn't have any trouble figuring that out, I don't think. I think with numbers, you'd figure it out. I didn't put any decimals or anything in there. I just said $3, 4 pieces of candy, 25 cents each. But you know now, how much money did you spend? You had $3. How much of it did you spend? $1. 4 times 25 is $1, right? 4 times 25 cents is $1. So you got $2 left. But algebraically, you've either got to change the cents to dollars or the dollars to cents to make it all come out right. Usually I encourage students to change cents to dollars. So why cents? How do you change cents to dollars? You know, if you got 25 cents, what do you have to do to change that to a dollar? How do you write it in terms of dollars? You know, you write 25 cents like that. You could. We don't use it much, but you could. But how would you write it as dollars? How do you write this? Divide it by 100 because you'd write that, right? That's in terms of dollars. It's that. It's 0.25. It's a quarter of a dollar, right? 25 hundredths of a dollar. So so if you change that to so but if it's 25 cents, you're going to have to divide that by 100 to get this. So you're either going to have Z minus X times Y divided by 100. That would fix it. Or you have to multiply Z by 100 to change it into cents. So I could have 100Z minus X times Y. That would work, but it would be cents. They didn't say dollars or cents, they said money. So I could, you see, now the point I'm trying to make here, though, is it all gets a little clearer when you use real numbers. So when they give you a bunch of variables, sometimes the best thing you can do to think about it is change them into numbers. You can pick your own numbers sometimes, make it easy. I'm going to show you I'm going to give you several examples of this, but it just makes things much. Oh my goodness, I've taken too much time, haven't I? Okay, I'll show you more examples next time. But we're not going to leave this one. We're going to stay here just a little bit longer till we get this. This is going to be a valuable tool for you. Okay. All right. Anything you want to say before I pray? Okay. Well, Father, thank you so much for all your blessings. Thank you for this day. Thank you for these kids, the way they're participating and trying to learn this stuff. I do pray you bless that. Help them to learn as much as they can to get ready for the ACT. So bless them. Help us the rest of this day to walk with you and bring you glory. In Jesus' name, amen.